Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Governor.
We would like to thank all of you for taking time out of your holiday weekend to receive training in being the greatest secretary that you can be. And you've taken on a very important position in your club, and we thank you for taking on that responsibility. And we're going to have fun this year, okay? And the more training you get, the better it's going to be. And so we thank you all for being here. I'd like to acknowledge our second Vice District Governor, Jim Gregory, and our Global Leadership Team Coordinator, Linda Gregory, and our presenter for this afternoon, past District Governor David Skillen. First, second Vice District Governor Jim, do you have anything to say?
No, I don't. I'm at a loss now, Chip. But you know, we've got a great presenter here in past District Governor David, and has I would say probably a very large amount of institutional knowledge when it comes to being a secretary. So it's his turn.
And GLT Linda, you have anything to say?
Yeah, I'm really encouraged by seeing secretaries coming to training. Having been a secretary for 14 years between my two clubs, I find it to be the most important position in the club.
Yep.
Amen.
It is far more important than the president, which is what I'm going to be this year, which was what I am this year. The secretary is the glue that holds it together. So I just want to encourage you all to have a great year, enjoy yourselves, keep those reports going in.
All right. Okay, without further ado, past District Governor David, we're going to turn it over to you.
Well, thank you very much, Governor Chip. For those of you that don't know me, I am Lion David Skillen. I am a member of the Lutz Land O'Lakes Lions Club, and I am your secretary in training presenter for today. For those of you that are present in our class today, how many actually printed out the club secretary's ebook?
Even if you have 3 people.
I looked at it and read it.
Okay. One of the things that you're going to find out with the ebooks nowadays, especially for club secretary, it works better in the long run if you are actually viewing it like on your laptop or a tablet. The reason for that being, a lot of the training materials that are presented in the ebook are actually found via links within the ebook itself. Lions Clubs International is actually getting to a point where what they're doing is they are wanting club secretaries, treasurers, presidents, membership chairs, all of the senior officers of a Lions Club to not only familiarize themselves with the club secretary ebook, but also with the online training that is available. There's a lot of online training that is available, especially for club secretary. I believe that there are either 4 or 5 separate modules within that program, and it's a lot of valuable information. Now, one thing that I did not mention when I introduced myself was that not only am I your secretary presenter today, but I am also the mentor for the club secretaries this year. For any club secretary that has any issues or questions, they can actually contact me directly via telephone or email, and I will do whatever I can to try and help those people out. Without further ado, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and I am going to kind of work a little bit with the club secretary's ebook, because I want you to be able to see what some of the other things within the Lions Clubs International's websites are there for. The My LCI as an example, and the My Lion website as an example, the Lions Learning Center. There's so much of that comes from direct links within the club secretary's ebook that I really do want you to see that. So without further ado, this is the club secretary ebook. And as we go through, if you're viewing it on your laptop as an example, as you're going through, you will find that as you go down each individual section, they kind of highlight in yellow. What that does, it gives you the opportunity to be able to jump to a specific section. If you wanted to learn a little bit something, say on monthly tasks, you would click on that within the ebook and would actually go ahead and it would bring you to that particular section. Please take the cat away, Jackie. Thank you. We have cats in the house. They like to play with our computers sometimes. Anyways, as you're going through that, once you've gotten past all of the table of contents, one of the first things you're going to come up with is going to tell you that welcome to the Club Secretary ebook. The guide is designed to support you in your role as secretary. It contains many of the tools and resources that will help you to be successful, not only in your individual role as a secretary, but also as a team member within your Lions Club exactly or directly. And it says that it's very easy to navigate through the ebook. You can just click on the various sections contained in the table of contents and that sort of thing. And also, if you spend if you spend a fair amount of time studying and training and planning to fill your responsibilities, you and your fellow, what we call servant leaders, are going to be able to more effectively work together, leading the club in realizing its vision and ensuring that your year as secretary will be a success, not only for you personally, but also for your Lions Club. It's going to say you're going to need to prepare to lead and prepare to succeed. You can start with the self-study. If you actually went ahead and clicked the link where it says Lions Learning Center, what it actually does is it brings you to the old Lions Learning Center, which is right here. And as of January 1st of 2020, the access link below, which would have been right here, where it says log in now, is no longer valid. But they did provide you with a link where it says Lion account. When you click on that, it then goes ahead and it brings you to My Lion. And all you would have to do is just go ahead and just log in. And when you log in, it's going to it will bring you to the main page. And why do I have an error? I never have an error. It didn't like me for some reason. I apologize for that. Okay, we're going to close that down. Try it again. I'm sorry. I've been practicing with this thing all day long, and I did not have a single issue until now.
I got a message saying my internet was unstable.
And that will happen sometimes. It all depends on how solid your Wi-Fi connection is sometimes. I was able to get in, and right here it says, welcome to the Lions Club International Digital Ecosystem. Many of the club secretaries have already seen this, and they know a lot about primarily how to get to My LCI so they can report their monthly membership. But down here on the bottom is, yes, sir.
I think you need to change the screen you're sharing because all we're seeing is the ebook still.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
So if you go down to the share screen, you can change the window you're looking at.
Yeah, hang on. There we go. Sorry about that.
There you
Can
go.
you see it now?
Got it now.
Good. This is all the different sections. It's My LCI, My Lion, shop, insights, and most people only see that portion of it. But if you slide down in your browser, it says learn. When you click on go, it will then bring you to the Lions Learning website, where you can learn, grow, and lead. Can everybody see that?
Yes.
Good. Now, there's online training where you would just click go and it would bring you to the online training. There is institute training, which is going to be the ALLI, or the Advanced Lions Leadership Institute, Faculty Development Institutes, Lions Certified Instructor Programs. They also have the ELLI. And for those of us in Florida, we have the area training, which usually takes place up in Fruitville Park, I think it is. And that's something that takes place once a year as well. There's also local training, and as you can see right now, it shows that the local training is First Vice District Governor full day training, and I'm sure Lion Chuck is going to look forward to that. But the most important area you're going to want to go to is where it says online training. You would click go, which would then go ahead and bring you to the Lions Learning site. And it was going to say, hello, whoever you are. And me, it's David Skill, and I'm going to continue to my dashboard. And I was going through and looking at club secretary responsibilities earlier. So it shows that I'm there. What I can do is I can just, right now, I want to click on content library. And it's only showing what I recently viewed. I'm going to just type in club secretary. And it's going to bring us to the entire, that's what I'm doing. Okay, anyways, it's not going to work well for me today. I feel like I'm not doing too well. That would be my fault. But the training is there. And any Lion that wants to can actually go ahead and learn through it. And I would strongly recommend that the club secretaries do that.
I have done,
I'm sorry?
I have done that.
Good. Now we should be back at, where am I? Meeting controls, new share. I'll go back here again. There, now we're back here. The club officer training is going to cover things like club secretary responsibilities, which it's going to teach you how to maintain the club roster and report membership to Lions Clubs International. It's going to teach you how to prepare some of your documents, how to put together an agenda for your meetings and record minutes of your business proceedings. Going to teach you how to keep all of the pertinent files and records that you're going to need throughout the course of the year, and also for the history of the club. You're going to be able to, it's going to teach you what you need to do about managing club correspondence. That's going to be emails that as secretary you may receive from time to time, whether or not it's information that needs to be shared with all the members of the club. And you're going to always get with your club president, because your club president is going to be able to tell you what kinds of information that we can actually go ahead and share with general membership. A lot of times when we do something, as an example, let's say we go ahead and we help somebody out with either a pair of eyeglasses or maybe an eye surgery. And we do that, and they in turn send the thank you note in the mail to the club secretary. That's an item that's going to want to be read at your next meeting, because that person has actually gone out of their way to thank the club for what it has done in order to help out that individual member. Quite often, you may see copies of bills or invoices that might come due from Lions Clubs International. Usually, for the most part, any invoices are going to go to your treasurer, but your treasurer should be sharing that information with you as well. You're going to actively participate in zone meetings, which means that you're going to probably want to go to your meeting with your zone meeting with your club president and maybe one of the other officers in the club. Typically, when my Lions Club goes to a zone meeting, it's usually the president, the secretary, the treasurer, and maybe one or two other Lions that will actually go ahead and attend those zone meetings. Because your club president is going to have to present a report, and when the other officers and members of the club are there, you're showing support for your club president and your Lions Club, but you're also showing support for all of the other clubs in your zone. So you're going to make sure that you go to those zone meetings. At the end of your year, you're going to have to turn over all of your records to whoever the incoming secretary might be. And it's very important that you do that because you don't want to sit on something that may be important that needs to be passed on to next year's secretary. The manual will tell you that you need to become familiar with your club's constitution and bylaws. For the most part, every single Lions Club has a constitution and bylaws that they go by. Some Lions clubs were formed so long ago that for some reason, they can't find their original club's constitution and bylaws. And that happens from time to time. The standard form club constitution and bylaws that Lions Clubs International provides is a basic template, so to speak, that are a set of rules that every Lions Club needs to go by. Whenever you're updating your constitution and bylaws for your club, and one of the people that is usually going to be involved with that is going to be the club secretary, but your president of your club may also put together a constitution and bylaws committee to maybe update the club's constitution. Want to mention one thing which is very important, and that is that when it comes to the standard club constitution and bylaws, when you're customizing it for your Lions Club, anything that is listed in that standard form already cannot be changed. You can add to it, but you can never take away from it. And as long as you remember that, then you can pretty much guarantee that your Lions Club will always be successful when it comes to dealing with legal issues and Lions Clubs International. So those are going to be important things that you're going to, and you may need to, handle that. A lot of times what happens is when the club secretary passes on the documentation from the previous year, there's a copy of the club's constitution and bylaws in there. Because sometimes what will happen is you may have a member that's going to ask you something as simple as, well, what does our constitution say in reference to maybe a question that's been brought up at a meeting? And if you have a copy of your club's constitution, or at least the standard form, you might be able to better answer those questions. One of the things that you're going to need to do is you have to learn how to access My LCI, because My LCI is going to be that portal where you're going to need to change members' information, where you're going to need to go ahead and add new members, where you're going to need to go ahead and maybe drop a member because they may have moved away or passed away, or they may have decided for whatever the reason they don't want to be a Lion any longer. And those are all things that are in there. Another item that's in there is going to be when you're doing what we call a family unit. The family unit is going to be, say, a husband and wife that are both Lions, maybe a husband and a wife and a child who is or an adult who's living in the same household, that is also going to be a line. You create a family unit. In creating that family unit, you have to pick one of the members in that household to be what they call the head of household. Quite often I see where in a family unit, they'll pick the man of the house as the head of household, and sometimes it may be the lady in the house that's been selected to be the head of household. Whenever you do that, whenever you set up a family unit, when it comes to international dues only, this is not multiple district or district dues, it's just international dues. When you have a family unit, the head of household will always pay full dues to Lions Clubs International. Each additional member of that family unit will only pay half dues to Lions Clubs International. So there is always a good thing when it comes to having a family unit. And that's very important. Now, another position within a Lions Club that has been created now for the past couple of years is what we call the club administrator. And to be totally honest with you, this is the only place that I have ever seen any information whatsoever that is pertinent to the position of club administrator. And sometimes what happens is you create a club administrator's position within your Lions Club, and that person is going to have basically the same access to my LCI as the club secretary. The most important thing is that the club administrator is a supportive role. It's not going to be your heads above, so to speak, to the club secretary. You're a supportive role, which means that there's going to be times when, and I'll use my Lions Club as the example, my club secretary is a fantastic club secretary. She takes excellent notes. She makes sure that we get all of the correspondence that has been sent to her. She does a fantastic job, but her use of a computer is extremely limited. We set myself up as club administrator so that we have somebody in the club that can go in as an example and file the monthly membership reports, but also to file the service activity reports for the club. So if you've got somebody in your club who is, say, a secretary or president, and either or both of those are very, very limited in their knowledge when it comes to computers or my LCI, the club administrator's role becomes extremely important because you now have to be on top of things when it comes to my LCI. It's a very good position. I love the position. It's not a formal position that's recognized by Lions Clubs International, but it does help to provide administrative assistance to the club secretary. Keep that in mind. Club administrator, always their job is to provide assistance only. Their job is not to tell you how to do your job. Their job is to help you with your job. So keep that in mind. Now, when you're managing your club roster and your contact information, a lot of times what we do is my club, again, we'll use my club as the example. Every year we'll go in and we'll print out a copy of the roster of all the members of the club. And what we'll do is we'll go ahead and make sure that it's got information like what does Lions Clubs International have for their name, their email address, their phone number, their physical address, things of that nature. And we'll go ahead and we'll pass it around every few months and have everybody check to make sure that all of that information is correct. One of the reasons for that being is we'll use say a Lion who's been a Lion for, in the Bradenton Lions Club for, say, the past 25 years. And for the past 10 years, they haven't received their monthly issue of the Lions Club's International magazine. And they'll go ahead and you'll say, you know, well, Lion Bill, did you move? And Lion Bill will say, well, of course I did, Lion Mary, you know that. You've been to my house 100 times. That's nice. But did we tell Lions Clubs International that you moved? No. That's why that lion is no longer getting the Lions International magazine. So we want to make sure that all of that information is up to date. Occasionally what will happen is Lions Clubs International will actually go ahead and they might need to contact an individual lion. And so they're going to do it through email most likely. So they're going to need to make sure that the email address is correct. They're going to want to make sure that the physical address is correct. And if they're still married, did a couple get divorced and one of the two move away, as an example? You want to make sure that those things are in there, because you may still be paying dues for something you didn't know. So you're going to want to make sure that that you do run your membership report. And you also want to make sure, what I like to do is when I do my monthly membership report every month, I'll go ahead and I'll print out a copy of my monthly membership report. And when I see my club secretary, I'll give it to the club secretary, and the secretary knows that I filed the monthly membership report for that month. So that's something else that you can do. There's inside of in the ebook, you can do a member reporting demonstration if you want. I'm not going to do it because it's about a 5-minute video, and I really don't want to take up all of our time watching videos. The same thing goes with demonstration on how to put together a family unit, which was something that we spoke about earlier. As a secretary, you're going to want to understand your membership types and categories for each member of the club. Membership types and categories. Your membership types are going to be, you know, a full member, a charter member, an associate member, an affiliate member. Those are some of the different categories. It explains what those membership types are. There's also several membership categories, and what those categories do is it's going to provide a different level of involvement for, you know, your regular club members. It's going to best fit their needs as a volunteer. And a lot of that information is actually provided in the last section of the club's constitution and bylaws. When you print out a copy or you look at a copy of the Lions Clubs International Constitution and bylaws, on the very, very back, it does give an idea of what the membership types and the categories are. So if you don't know what those are, go ahead and download the quick reference, which is going to be under membership types and categories. It'll give you a quick reference guide. That way you'll be able to better understand what those different types are. Sometimes, as an example, we have members that are snowbirds. And what we'll do is they'll come down and work with us during the winter months, but during the summer months, they'll go back to their Lions Club up north. They don't want to transfer out of their Lions Club from up north, but they still want to be a member of your club. Well, you can actually make them an associate member. That way they can be on your rolls as an associate member of the club, and you'll have their email address and whatnot, so that if you're doing a club newsletter, as an example, you can go ahead and email them a copy of the club newsletter while they're up north, and they still have an idea as to what your club is doing during the summer months, let's say. So that's something that's going to be very valuable for those of us that are dealing with snowbirds every year. The manual is going to teach you how to process newly recruited members. So whenever new members are brought into the club, you're going to have to add them to the rolls. And there's certain information that you're going to need in order to be able to add them as a member of the club. And that's going to be obviously their name, their address, their phone number, their date of birth, things of that nature. And these are all things that are actually in the membership application. And you want to make sure that you have that when you present that information to the club, so that your club can vote on whether or not to accept them as a member. You can download, you can create custom data downloads for communications. I've gone in and I've pulled reports for my Lions Club on all kinds of different things. I can drill down to the point I want to know for every single member of my Lions Club, how many years have they been a Lion? Or I might want to drill down to the point where I want to know when everybody's birthday is so that we can make sure they get a birthday card. There's all kinds of different reasons why you want to look for different types of information. And that's all the kind of stuff that you're going to find in My LCI. In the My Lion app, there's actually a link in there where you can go ahead and you can go to the LCI store and purchase stuff for your club. Let's say the club president wants to have certain types of items for the club. Might be stickers, or it could be he wants to be able to provide a special pin to one of the members of the club. President will usually go to the club secretary and say, can you go ahead and order this for me? And the My LCI shop or the My Lion shop is going to be the place where you're going to want to go for that. You can get different types of club supplies, gavels, gongs, meeting forms, name badges, all kinds of things. You can get new member kits. If you need a new member kit, well, that's actually changed. And I don't know why that's even there any longer, because new member kits are usually, now it used to be each club could go ahead and they could order new member kits and they would have those in stock. Well, because of the way that Lions Clubs International has changed them, the new member packet has actually gotten quite expensive. So they'll go ahead and they'll give a supply of them to the district governor. And the district governor will in turn pass them out as they are needed. And so the new member kits, that line shouldn't even be there any longer. Because even though we can go ahead and we can order new member kits or new member packets, they won't send them to us. I'm the membership chair for my club. And for 2 new members, I had to go to immediate past District Governor Claudette Henry in order to get a new member packet because Lions Clubs International won't send them to me. So that shouldn't even be there any longer. You can purchase different types of Lion apparel, whether they be club vests, shirts, caps, or other clothing items. Sometimes Lions Club will go ahead and they'll order a bunch of different t-shirts as an example through My Lion or My LCI shop and give them out to each member of the club. Even though a lot of times we'll go to local silk screening shops or embroidery companies that do that, sometimes they'll go to Lions Apparel. You can get the Peace Poster Kit. If your Lions Club is participating in the Peace Poster process, you can actually purchase your Peace Poster Kits from there. And unfortunately, they're only available between January 15th and October 1st of each year. You can get awards and medals that the club president may want to give out to members at the end of their year as president of the club. There are different plaques, awards, and certain things that you can do for recognition. There's a lot of different things that are going to be available in the My LCI store. During your first 30 days as secretary, it's going to be one of the most crucial times for you to be completing certain tasks. That's going to include putting together the roster of the club, maybe setting up the calendar of events for the different events and projects that are going to be going on throughout the course of the year. And you're always going to want to get with the club president on that sort of thing, because a lot of times what will happen is your club president has a certain set of goals of things that he wants to do during his year as president, and he'll go ahead and say, we want to do this in this time frame, we want to do this in that time frame. So you're going to want to get with your club president on that. You're going to want to set up a system that's going to work for you when it comes to retaining business records, and especially those records that pertain to membership, committee reports, financings, and records of decisions and actions taken by the club and the board of directors. You're going to want to attend any club officer training offered by the district. Today happens to be one of those, so you're already there. You're going to want to make a point of making sure that you review your club roster. Do that on a regular basis, because you want to make sure that everything that is going on for all the members of your club is correct. One of the ways that you can tell when there's information that is not correct, and it usually comes with, and I believe it's going to be the mailing address for the member, because if the mailing address is incorrect, when you're looking at their name in My LCI, there's going to be a red box that's going to go ahead and it's going to show exactly that there's missing or incorrect information. And it's usually going to be an address information. So when you do that at the beginning of your year, you're making sure that your members are receiving all of the communications from Lions Clubs International that they need to get. So those are some of the things that you're going to want to do when you're reviewing your club roster. You want to make sure that you've got membership applications on hand. Quite often you can print out the one that's available on the Lions Clubs International website. Club membership chairs can actually contact Lions Clubs International and they'll send out membership, the pre-printed ones. But they would actually prefer that you print them out if you can. You may want to, as an example, one of the things that I like to do is if we've got members of our club that are inactive, maybe not, they haven't been active for a long time, you can go ahead and do a printout of your inactive members. What that's going to do is that's going to give your board of directors something to look at when you say, we've got these members who've been inactive for a certain amount of time. You're most likely going to want to go ahead and maybe have your membership chair go ahead and contact those Lions to find out why they're not going to meetings. If you're unable to contact them, let's say as an example, they moved away and the club for some reason never really updated things, so they're actually paying dues for a member that hasn't been there for a long time. So you're going to want to know why you're dropping them. I would go ahead and, like I said, do a printout of your inactive members. When you do a printout of your inactive members, give a copy of it to your membership chair. Your membership chair can then go ahead and call them to find out, why are they not coming to meetings? Maybe they can convince some of them to come back to the meetings, that sort of thing. If you've got members that for some reason may have passed away, or they have moved away, or they just don't want to be a Lion any longer, maybe because they can't afford it, you've got those tools available to you to know these are the Lions that we need to consider removing from the rolls, because you don't want to pay dues for a member that is no longer there for whatever the reason. So you're going to want to do that. prior to June 30th and December 31st, you want to make sure that your membership roster within MyLCI is correct, because if it's not correct, Lions Clubs International is going to send you a bill on July 1st for all those people that are on your rolls. And if you've got people on your rolls that are actually, they're not Lions any longer, like I said, you're paying dues for people you shouldn't have to pay dues for. That same thing goes, you want to make sure that you do that before December 31st as well. So between prior to June 30th and prior to December 31st, make sure that your roster is correct with all the members of your club that you know are members of the club, because you don't want to pay dues for members that are no longer there. When you do that, you're being proactive when it comes to the financials and the financial status of the club itself. You can actually go ahead once each member has paid their dues, whether it be for a 6-month period or for the year. You can actually use MyLCI to print membership cards. Some people will go ahead and print out those membership cards using standard business card stock as an example. Some may actually use membership card stock that they've gotten from Lions Clubs International. There's different ways of going about it, but that's definitely one of the places that you can go where you can go ahead and print out those membership cards. Or you can actually go to the MyLCI shop and go ahead and purchase membership cards that you're going to fill out by hand each time you know that a member has paid their dues. You want to make sure that you've updated all the contact information for the members. We've already covered that. You want to make sure that you've established your club calendar. And if you're doing a newsletter for your club every month, make sure that the calendar is updated in there as well. That way the members get an idea as to what they can expect next month. That, oh, there's a project. Maybe, because there are some Lions, and I'm going to be honest with you, none of us like meetings, especially long, boring ones. So what we'll do is we just won't go to meetings. However, we will go and do those service projects. I love doing service projects. I can't stand meetings. If Lion Jackie wasn't president of the club, I don't know if I'd go to my meetings every month because the meetings are boring. But every single time there's a project, I guarantee you I'm there. And if we put them into our club newsletter every month to let our members know that there's stuff coming up, then you can pretty much guarantee that you're going to have enough people in order to be able to handle your service project or whatever event you've got going on. You can go ahead and you can put in international convention dates. You can put in your district meeting dates. You can put in your multiple district meeting dates. You can put all kinds of things in there that are going to be important for the club, including birthdays, wedding anniversaries, all kinds of information like that. So those are all things that you're going to want to make sure that you've got in your calendar, and you make sure that you update it every month. You want to make sure that whenever you've got other leaders from your district, let's say your second vice governor or your first vice governor, and they go and they pay a visit to your club, you want to make sure that you make note of it, that second vice district governor Jimmy Gregory came to our meeting, said a few words on membership. You want to make sure that you've got that. You want to make sure that you want to assist whenever things like that are going to take place. There are some Lions clubs in Florida that will have as snowbird or winter members past international presidents. Past international president Clem Kusiak is one of those. And every year when he's coming down for the winter, he will send an email off to the president of the club letting him know that he's coming. And these are the kind of arrangements I'd like you to make for me throughout the year. Because he's going to want to do things a little bit differently than we do on our regular club meetings. So that's the sort of thing that can happen as well. You might want to add your international calendar of events. Say you might want to add the dates of the USA-Canada Alliance Leadership Forum, the next ALLI training, the next ELLI training, that sort of thing. And you want to make sure that you add as much stuff as you can. You don't want to overload people, but important information is always a good thing to put in. There's a certain set of tasks that you're going to have to prepare on a monthly basis, because you're preparing for those meetings. You're actually recording those meetings as the club secretary. That's not just your general membership meetings, but it's also your board of director meetings. You're going to want to complete and follow up on certain types of meeting documents. You want to make sure that you're hanging on to the stuff that's important to the club, because you're going to have to turn that over at the end of your year. You want to prepare for programs and meetings. There's a document at Lions Clubs International called Your Club, Your Way. I've actually used that my year as club president. And while the entire document didn't really follow things the way that I did as club president, but it did give me some ideas as to how we could actually go ahead and put those meetings together and make those meetings work. It's also, I mentioned the president a lot, but you have to remember that while I'm mentioning the president, the two most important people of a Lions Club is going to be the president of the club and the secretary. The secretary is the most important job in any Lions Club. The president of the club, he's nothing more than a facilitator. But he's also, he's going to put some goals together that he would like the club to accomplish during the course of the year. He's a de facto member of every single committee that your club might have. But again, the club secretary is the most important person in the club, because sometimes what are going to happen is it may be up to the club secretary to call the restaurant to make sure that the meeting space is available for your next meeting. Because there's a lot of clubs that don't have their own clubhouse, or they don't have let's say a Boy Scouts den or a church that they meet at on a regular basis. So you're going to want to make sure that while some people might think that that's the president's job, that's the secretary's job. So you're going to want to call the venue to make sure that that space is still available for you, because something may have come up, and with us being in the middle of this COVID crisis, restaurant may have actually closed down because one of the staff members in the restaurant was exposed or tested positive for COVID-19. So whenever a staff member is exposed to and contract COVID-19, they close the entire restaurant down for about 2 weeks. And if you don't know that that restaurant is closed, people start showing up, you're going to have a bunch of Lions standing outside going, well, what do we do now? So that's why you're club secretary. You're going to be the one that's going to want to make those phone calls. Even though a lot of Lions clubs right now are doing Zoom meetings, there are some Lions clubs that have actually started getting back together again. So no matter how it works, secretary, most important person in the club. You're going to need to be able, somebody just dinged me. Oh, sorry about that. Spam mail. Anyways, make sure that you prepare the agenda for the club. What's going to happen quite often is If the president isn't putting together the agenda himself, typically what the president will do is the president will say to you, I want to have this, and this. I want to do these things during our meeting. Everything else is going to be the same as it was last month. So your club secretary is going to take, say, last month's agenda as an example and change it so that it fits this month's meeting. If the president isn't doing the agenda himself, if he's not the one, he or she is not the one typing it up, you're going to be the one typing it up. And if you have current information from your club president, or let's say your first vice president because the president can't be there, when you contact whoever's going to be running that meeting that night, sometimes they might say, well, I've never done this before, and I know that we have an agenda every month. What do you suggest that we should be talking about in the meeting? Because you're putting together the agenda, you can then go ahead and give them an idea as to this is the sort of stuff that we did last month or the month before. You may be in a situation where I was at a Lions Club meeting one time where not only was the president not available, the first vice president and the second vice president weren't available. So the secretary ran the meeting that night. And with the secretary running the meeting, that's how things kind of went. It was quite interesting having the secretary. But the secretary ran the meeting like she knew exactly what she was doing. That's probably because she'd been putting together agendas forever. So that's something you're going to have to do as well. Occasionally, you may be hosting guests from Lions Clubs International. You never know. You might have a current international president that's coming to Florida, and he wants to go to a meeting at your Lions Club. So you're going to want to know how to go about putting together whatever it is that you may need for that particular meeting. I've seen clubs in Florida where international president had come for an official visit because of the diabetes awareness program that we have. And they said, I would like to go to a Lions Club meeting while I'm here. And then all of a sudden you and the president you're getting a ton of phone calls because the president's coming to visit. So now you got to figure out what you need to do when it comes to hosting those guests from Lions International. By clicking on the link that says host LCI guest, that information is going to be available for you. There's a section in there about new member induction ceremonies. There's different types there's the standard ones that you'll find in the back of a lot of the district governor's directories. There are some that are available on the LCI website. And I believe there's actually one or two that is available in the standard form club constitution. A lot of times there are certain like pastors or governors that have put together their own induction ceremony. Their own induction ceremony may have something to do with candles. It may have something to do with blindfolding them through a portion of the meeting. It's really hard to tell what it's going to be. And then you're going to want to make sure that whatever that person needs in order to do those inductions, that you're able to provide them with all of the stuff that they're going to need. You make sure that you're maintaining your business records. Man, we've covered that enough times. I think we're kind of beating that one to death. One of the important areas I want you to pay attention to is where it says obtain insurance certificates as required for activities. Depending upon the type of activity that you're doing, whether it be a service project or it may be a fundraiser, you may need to have an insurance certificate in order to be able to provide protection to anybody that may come to that event, as an example. Lions Clubs International does provide liability certificates free of charge. All you have to do is go to Lions Clubs International website, and you're going to want to click on the area where you're going to want to do an insurance certificate. There's a little bit of information that gets filled out. Once that information is filled out, then you go ahead and print it out. And what that does is that gives your Lions Club a certain bit of liability coverage when it comes to anybody that may be attending the event.
I got a question.
Yes, go ahead and ask.
Well, it just comes up since we're in the midst of the COVID and with service projects, particularly breakfasts. I'm wondering if I should be concerned about people getting infected possibly at one of these events.
Well, I think that's something that you're going to always be concerned with. What I would strongly do is I would kind of go ahead and I would take a bit of maybe advice, so to speak, from restaurants as an example. Restaurants make a point of making sure that any patron that goes into the restaurant is practicing safe social distancing.
Right.
You know, that 6 foot distance apart kind of thing.
Right.
Anybody that walks into the building that's going to be, you know, they need to walk into that building wearing a mask.
Correct. Okay.
You know, those are the kind of things. Now, whether or not Lions Clubs International's limited liability policy would cover that, I honestly don't know. I would probably, the best people to answer that specific question would most likely be the legal department at Lions Clubs International.
Okay.
What I would do, and there's going to be certain people at a club or district level that's going to get answers quicker. What I would do is I would pose that question to the district governor, and the
thanks, David.
and then the district governor can go ahead and contact Lions Clubs International's legal department, and they would be able to provide him with the answer. Now, the reason why I say that you go to your district governor is the district governor is going to get answers an awful lot quicker than, say, the president of the Lions Club will.
Yeah, I would say just go ahead and go forward with that, Mr. District Governor, as a broad brush concern, just because this is what we're looking at for the new normal. So we should probably all have some idea, generally speaking, this is what we need to do to successfully or near successfully have a service or event project.
Yeah. I'd just like to interject something in on that. You know, I've spent years in risk management and risk assessment in industrial and adventure activities. And the thing is that it all comes down that if you acted in a reasonably prudent manner, all right? So if you behaved all of like the social distancing rules from the health department, from the local, from the state and whatnot, and somebody got infected, you know, it would be a hard case for them to win. Okay. But I will certainly bring that up to the legal department on what their opinion is on that. Okay. I made a note for myself right now, and I'll get back with you next week.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you, Lion John, and thank you, District Governor Chip. I think it's a really good idea. And I appreciate you thanking me, Governor, for putting you on the spot like that. But I think that with all the Lions Clubs in our district and our multiple districts that are doing events of this sort, if we've got, say, something that's more of a definitive answer from International's legal department, you can get it out to everybody a lot quicker than, say, I could.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
and you know, we're going to be facing the same thing because on the 15th of August, I desperately want to have my first district meeting. And we're going to be having that at Zephyr Hills. And I want to make sure that we're covered there with what we need to do. So,
Great. Okay.
yeah.
Okay, well, thank you guys for your input. It's greatly appreciated. I'm going to kind of run through the last of this a little bit quicker because I'm just noticing that I'm actually at a full hour on the training. I can go over by a couple of minutes, but I don't want to push it too far. We've talked earlier about how to manage correspondence within the club. We have, let's see now, membership changes monthly. You want to make sure that you're doing that. It's an extremely important thing. Remember, if you're having issues with my LCI, the first thing that I would suggest would be to go ahead and check any of the forums, say on Facebook, because if there are current issues with my LCI or my Lions Clubs International will actually post something on Facebook about any pending issues that may be going on. Also, you can contact me directly as your secretary mentor because I'll try to keep us all updated when it comes to that as well. If you're not having any problems logging into it, then you should be able to know how to go about filing your monthly membership reports and making sure that you're doing your service activity reports as well. You want to make sure that you're adding, transferring, or dropping any members that may need to be handled at that point. Make sure you do it before the last day of the month, though, because your district governor is going to be going, you haven't filed your monthly membership report yet. And district governor wants to make sure that he gets 100% of the clubs in our district actually filing those reports. And if you wait too long, sometimes what might end up happening is if you're doing it on the last day of the month, at that last minute, it may not actually show up until you doing it the following month. In other words, you're doing your June report in June, but it shows up that you did it in July. So you want to make sure that you don't have your district governor. I love it when my district governor calls and says, you guys are doing a great job. Keep up the good work. And you know what? I'd like you to go ahead and maybe help out such and such a Lions Club because they seem to be struggling with it a little bit. And, you know, as members of Lions Clubs, we love helping out each other. So anytime our governor calls us on the phone, you didn't file that report, I would rather my governor tell me, give me a pat on the back than shake his finger at me. And I understand Lion Chip and his adventure thing, he just might be feeding me to the lions before it's too late. So remember your quarterly meetings. That's going to be your zone meetings, your district governor's meeting. The long name for it is the district governor's advisory committee meeting. That is short. It's the district governor's meeting. That's the one that's going to be held quarterly. That's the one that Lion Chip just said he wants to have on August the 15th. So that's something that you want to make sure you go to those as well because it's very important. Your semi-annual tasks, you're going to make sure that you've updated your roster before June the 30th and before December 31st because you want to make sure you're not getting billed for members that are no longer active in the club. And something I want to point out to you when it comes to billing, and it's very, very important. It used to be that if you notified Lions Clubs International, I think before the 15th of the month, following when you've received your semi-annual bill, they would credit you for any drops. Lions Clubs International is no longer doing that. And because Lions Clubs International is no longer doing that, the district and the multiple district aren't doing it either. So don't expect that you're going to be getting credits for drops that you didn't do on time. So you want to make sure, get your drops in there when you're supposed to get them in, get your new members in there when you're supposed to be getting them in. Because it's very, very important that we all make sure that all of our numbers match. Because in a way, when you think about it, if you don't drop a member when you should have dropped them as the secretary, you're messing with the treasurer's bookkeeping, because now he's got to pay for a member that no longer exists. And your club president is going to be going, well, why did we have to pay for a member that no longer exists? Well, that's the secretary didn't do the drop when they were supposed to. So make sure that you keep those dates in mind, extremely important. Towards the end of your year, you're going to have your club elections. And those elections are usually held at the beginning of the fourth and final quarter of the year, which is going to be there in about April. Usually what we do is each club will have an elections committee. That elections committee will go ahead and maybe start to put together the slate of officers for, let's say, next year. And when you've got those members that are going to be, say, moving up as an example, they're at 3 points during the course of that last quarter, so to speak, you're going to have certain reading of the roster for next year. 2 months ahead of time, 1 month ahead of time, and before you actually do your voting. Because they're going to say, okay, Lion Jan is going to be moving up to the position of first vice president. Lion Chip is going to be moving to the position of immediate past president. That sort of thing. And your elections committee is going to be reading that off. You want to make sure, as the secretary of the club, that you're recording that stuff properly. And if you're having to put together and I'm going to spit it out in a second. If you're having to put together a ballot because you've got multiple people that want to serve in a position, you're going to have to have those ballots ready ahead of time. If you don't have those ballots ready ahead of time, then you're going to have to do it on scrap paper, which is going to take extra time at your meeting. So those are the kind of things you're going to want to take care of as well. And then once you've done that, keep this in mind, because this is something we've always done. We have to file our annual membership, our annual club officer report, which was traditionally called a PU 101, and it's now done via MyLCI, because you're going to want to report who your next year's officers are going to be. Now, Lions Clubs International says that the deadline date for that is April 15th, or as soon after the club completes its elections as possible. We have always said April 1st, because April 1st is tax day. So if we as Lions clubs in our district, and we say that we've got to have these reports filed by tax day, if for some reason you forget to post it by the 1st of the month, you still got a few more days to post it and it not be late. So keep in mind, while April 15th is the deadline, we like to see the clubs post that information by the 1st of the month. We're going to have district and multiple district conventions, and you may be called upon as a club secretary to help out at that event. So keep that together. When you're doing the international convention, you're going to be involved in the international convention in the sense that if you've got members of your club that are going to the international convention and they want to be able to vote for who's going to be the next president or vice president, or a change in the international bylaws, you're going to need delegates. Now, those delegates can be for the international convention. They can also be delegates for your district convention. That's like when we elected District Governor Chip to be our next district governor. We held a meeting and all of the ballots went in because we had so many delegates. Each club, for every 10 members, gets one delegate. And for every 5 members, after that, you would get another one. In other words, if you have 16 members in your club, you get 2 delegates. Plus you get alternate delegates if for some reason delegate can't go to vote. So those are kind of things, all stuff that you're going to be finding in your club secretary ebook. It's also going to be in your constitution and bylaws. Make sure that the Club Excellence Award, very, very important to last year's president. Make sure you fill out the Club Excellence Award. If your club president and your club has met all the qualifications to be able to receive the Club Excellence Award, your next year's president is going to be presenting that to your past president. So if Lion Jackie, let's say, did everything in the club in order to make sure that it met with the Club Excellence Award guidelines, and I'm going to be president of the club next year, at a meeting, I'm going to present that award to Lion Jackie because she represented the club and did a really good job in assisting the club in meeting all of the goals for last year. And the same thing goes on year after year after year. There's going to be different types of plaques and awards that are going to be like recognition things that you can get from the LCI shop. Make sure that whoever's going to be taking over as treasurer next year, they got to go to the bank and they got to sign that little card that says that they are now they're authorized to sign checks on behalf of the club. There's different types of guidelines when it comes to handling funds for the club, the general liability insurance program, which we talked about earlier, certificates of assistance of insurance, supplemental insurance, that sort of thing. These are all things that we're going to be able to go ahead and get with Lions Clubs International on to be able to help us to protect the Lions Club and to protect Lions Clubs International from, let's say, a lawsuit as an example, that sort of thing. Remember your trademark rules. Give you a perfect example. When you look at the Lions logo, on the top of it, it says Lion, and on the bottom it says International. I actually watched a Lions Club erase on the bottom where it said International and put their own Lions Club name in there. That's a violation of Lions Clubs International's trademark policy. And if the Lions Club that, say, did that offense and they got notified by Lions Clubs International, you need to stop doing this. If the club doesn't stop doing this, they'll pull the charter for a club, and it could also open the club up for other types of legal action as well. So keep that stuff in mind. You want to make sure you know a little bit about your trademark.
And they get mad at the district governor too.
Absolutely. Last but not least, the privacy policy for Lions Clubs International Foundation. Whenever somebody goes ahead and give you an example, they make a donation to Lions Clubs International in memory of somebody that is not a lion, as an example. And they go ahead and they provide that person with a Melvin Jones Fellowship. That information doesn't get shared with anybody. Every single member of the Lions Club that has become a Melvin Jones Fellow or something of that nature, as long as their name is on file with Lions Clubs International and the Lions Clubs International Foundation, the information does not get shared with anybody. And that's the way that it is. They recognize the importance of protecting your private information. They will not share it with anybody. So make sure that you don't share that stuff unnecessarily as well. We have just about covered everything. So I'm going to go ahead at this point because we have a 4 o'clock class coming up pretty soon. And I'm going to say that are there any questions that we may have at this point?
I have none. You covered everything very good, and I appreciate your time, Lion David, and I look forward to working with you.
Well, thank you, Lion John. I'm glad that I was able to help you out. Lion Patty?
No, I don't have any questions. Thank you so much for your time.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Lion
Okay,
Chip?
I have a little something. Okay, if you go to the chat button at the bottom, okay, I have put up a what we use in our Lions Club, which is called the Braden Lions Club Secretary Timeline, and it breaks down every month by really what the secretary needs to do, and that includes, like even in October or September, filing the electronic postcard with the IRS, with if you have a 501c3 corporation, renewing your corporation every year. And there's just a whole bunch of things in there that month by month we hold the secretary responsible, and we actually give that timeline out to each one of the members of our board of directors, so everybody knows what needs to be done, and we can have checks and balances on what everything is done. So if you just go to that link in the chat room, you can just go ahead and download that file, and
Thank you so much.
you can get to it. All right.
Sorry, thank you.
Yes.
Very nice, Governor. Thank you for that.
Okay.
Lion Jim, do you have anything you would like to say in closing?
You're muted, Jim.
Lion Jim, you're muted.
Try it again.
How about now? Can you hear me now, David?
Yeah, you're
Yes,
good.
sir.
I'm talking to the wall, yes. Great output there. I know that was as I would say, a bucket load to pour out on the new secretaries, but a lot of information to chew on there for a while. Again, guys, and incoming secretaries, your district leadership, as well as past Sister Governor David there, we're available. All you got to do is pick up a phone and either call us or send us a text, and we'll get right back to you as quick as we can.
It's Lion David. I just sent you a friend request on Facebook, so that we're connected.
I'll be more than happy to pick that up after we are offline. Thank you,
Okay.
Lion John.
You're welcome.
And Lion Patty, I know you're muted again. As the secretary for the Plant City Lions Club, don't be surprised if I show up to say hello to you guys every once in a while.
Sounds like a plan. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, I guess that's it. We're going to call it a day. I want to thank everybody for coming. It was a pleasure giving you guys some training. I understand from an earlier training class that Lion Linda is going to be sending out satisfaction surveys out to all of you that have attended the meeting to rate how I did with my training today. If you don't like what I did, I want you to lie and say you did. If you did like my training, I want you to lie and say you didn't. Thank you all very much. God bless. We'll see you soon down the road.
All right.
Thank you, Lion David.
Thank you, Lion David.
All right.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Goodbye, all.
Bye now.
Bye.
Bye.